Sorry, I was a little bit late. I was actually picking up hay in a field. Imagine that. Get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, start hauling hay, and get done about 6 o'clock at night and run into here. But that's the glorious life of a state legislator. With that, though, first thing has to be said is thank you. Thank you all for everything you did. Thank you for being at the legislative building. Thank you for coming to testify. Thank you for calling into the governor's office. Thank you for just burning the phone lines down in the entire building and the internet. What you did was to thwart them from passing even more unconstitutional bills. You guys are the ones to thank here tonight, not us. Thank you for what you did. During the session on my Facebook page, I kept having to do a bunch of video feeds and stuff like that. We interrupted this constitutional crisis for yet a new constitutional crisis. And unfortunately, that's what we kept doing. And we still need your help. Without you, we can't do any better. We need you so much, more than you need us. With that, if you text 474747 and then you text GOP, you can get on our Senate Republican email or texting list, and you can tell us what subjects interest you, and we can go ahead and update you, whether it's on water, whether it's guns, whatever you want. Again, you just text 474747, and you text GOP. We'll get back to you and ask you what issues you want us to keep you informed of. I can send you our newsletter updates. I did one on guns every 2 weeks. I did one on water every 2 weeks. Two issues that tend to go together, and especially in Douglas County. That being said, let's talk about that. AB 95. It was a wonderful bill that tried to include water metering and domestic wells. Two subjects that don't go together and shouldn't go together. That subject is actually at the state Supreme Court as we speak. That bill sought to change the Supreme Court's ruling that's going to come out. We don't know how they're going to rule. But as it stands now, a domestic well is a property right. They're trying to change that. Now, AB 95, as it went through, will only affect what are called critical management areas. Those are areas that are over 250% over appropriated. Luckily, Dallas County is nowhere near that. We're at about 160% over appropriated, so we're nowhere near the 250 threshold, so it won't affect us unless they go back to the next session and lower that number. The other bill they passed is AB 62, which helps them with the pipeline they're trying to do out of rural Nevada down to Vegas. So those are the two bad water bills. The gun bills were very well covered. AB 291, the red flag bill, I absolutely hope the NRA, please reach out to the NRA and other interested gun groups and urge them to file a lawsuit and challenge these unconstitutional laws. The bill originally had a preemption aspect to it. And Governor Sisolak wanted the preemption aspect of it. He's a former Clark County Commissioner, right? He wanted to be able to allow county commissioners to regulate guns county by county. Matter of fact, he wanted city by city. Now the good news is that he's also motivated by other things. And in that respect, you had SHOT Show come in and say, if you go ahead and pass preemption, we're leaving Nevada. That's a $125 million hit to Nevada economy. Luckily, preemption came out of the bill. Unfortunately, red flags went into the bill. And it still has trigger modifications, which I think are unconstitutional as well. You know, maybe your spouse can't pull a 10-pound trigger pull, and you change it to a 5. That's now a problem. It also has, you have to adequately, properly store your firearm. Well, there's an interesting definition. There isn't one. And so that becomes a problem. So I hope the NRA goes after that one. Senate Bill 143, the background check bill, that was mentioned earlier by our sheriff. That bill is unconstitutional. There's no question. There's no doubt. There's a major aspect flaw to it called the Commerce Clause. What this bill says is that if I transfer a gun to Mr. Coverley, well, actually it doesn't matter. You can do anything else with guns. If I transfer one to Mr. Wheeler here, we go down to the federal firearms dealer, we exchange that gun. Okay, no taxes. All right. However, if you're from another state, there is taxes charged. That interferes with the interstate commerce laws and hereby is just unconstitutional, null and void. Unfortunately, someone's going to have to sue on it. And I hate to be so litigious. I don't like lawyers, even though I went to law school. That being said, there are certain things that people are going to have to stand up for. And I hope the NRA stands up and you stand with the NRA to go after those two terrible laws. The water one, again, is already within the law. The aspect of voting, I was very bothered by AB 431, which allows certain felons to have their voting rights automatically restored. The people, in their wisdom, passed the automatic voter registration. I voted no, as so did most of rural Nevadans. Unfortunately, it passed, so they're going to implement that. same-day registration and extending it, absentee voting by 2 weeks, was in Assembly Bill 345. It's going to make it very difficult for all of us in the next election. That's why, as I said earlier, we need you more now than ever. We've always needed you, but boy, we really need you now. Because we need to be able to combat these issues and win elections. The National Popular Vote Bill, AB 186, was vetoed by the governor. I greatly appreciate that. And that's because a lot of what you guys did, calling in and urging him to veto it. And also I was told that maybe somebody from the media reached out to him and said that would be about a $200 million hit to the state economy from having certain national people not advertise here. I'm sure that has nothing to do with the decision. He also vetoed a bill dealing with limousines because the bill industry taxi cartel didn't like that, so that bill got vetoed. And another one that I voted no on. They wanted to transfer the power of economic development to the legislature rather than to people that actually understand business that are within Government Office of Economic Development. And that was a bad idea. And he vetoed that. Well, they would have took power away from him. So that was kind of understandable, but I was glad he vetoed that one as well. One of the other bills that didn't get discussed is AB 132. It will no longer allow an employer to drug test prior to employment. It's a horrible, terrible idea. It really affects the organization I used to represent in Carson City called ClickBond. ClickBond actually pays for its employees to go through schooling to get the certificate, and they'll pay 100% of the education. However, they had this problem in the past that when they had them take the drug test after being employed, that 75% of them were failing. Therefore, they decided it was a better idea to drug test before spending the money on the education. Well, this won't allow them to do that anymore. So, unfortunately, I don't think they're going to, I don't know, it's a terrible situation that they've created in that respect. Mr. Wheeler hit a little bit on Senate Bill 542. It's a DMV that was supposed to sunset. Now, in the meantime, the DMV in their infinite wisdom decided to take the former director, and when he retired, he got hired by a computer company that magically got the contract, and instead of getting the lowball contract for $32 million, they hired his firm, Comanzo, or I forget the name of it, Maliantro, for, what was it, $64 million. Quite shocked. And for some reason, they did a horrible job. So bad, the computer system doesn't work, and they're selling it to other people. But now they have to get more money because of their mistake. So they extended your fee at the DMV to pay for it, illegally. These are illegal bills that he passed and signed into law. They violate the tax restraint initiative, which requires a 2/3 vote. That will affect over 7 million transactions. Probably somewhere in the neighborhood of over 500,000 people are going to be hit by that tax. The other tax, Senate Bill 551, is called payroll tax. It's based upon how many employees you have. Not a very good incentive to hire more employees. Again, that was an illegal tax that was passed in violation of the tax restraint initiative. There will be a lawsuit coming. Senate Republicans have pledged, we're going to bring it, we're going to sue. It's the right thing to do. If you don't stand for the Constitution, you don't stand for anything, at least in my book. With that, as Mr. Wheeler indicated, collective bargaining, which we have collective bargaining within the county. Many times in the state, lost employees to the counties because they'll be trained up at the state level and be able to get 20% more. But then again, we have the same problem in Douglas County. They'll go to California and work across the state line and get about 30 to 40% more money across the state line. So collective bargaining is going to be an issue. It's going to add money, cost to the state of Nevada. As you indicated earlier, Medicaid, the way the Medicaid increase occurred within the concepts of the state of Nevada, it only affected 1 year of our biennium. That was a $127 million hit. Next time, that'll be 2 years. So that'll be a $250 million hit to the next biennium. In the meantime, there's also the aspect of Senate Bill 543. Some people call it an education funding plan, which is bull, just plain bull. It's a reallocation plan. It reallocates the money from rural Nevada to Clark and Washoe County. That's what it is. It's a reallocation scheme. And in the state of Nevada now, what will occur is anytime we see an increase in property tax that's supposed to go in Douglas County to education, bye-bye to Clark. All increases from this day forward for property taxes that would have gone to education go to Clark and Washoe County. So the sales tax may be a part of it too. The sales tax portion of it that goes to education will be reallocated too, which is 2% of about 8% in most counties. These issues, I'm assuming the rural counties aren't going to like that, especially Elko and White Pine, Ely, Eureka, those counties. They're going to lose quite a bit of money. I'm assuming, I'm told, they will probably sue on that as well. Because again, our state constitution says that net proceeds of mine are supposed to come out of a county and go back to that county at 100%. And therefore it violates state constitution as well. There's only, unfortunately, so many lawsuits I can handle, so hopefully other people come forward. But that's what we saw with Sessions. They had no care for the state constitution in any way, shape, or form. And what bothered me the most about that, the limitation that was put in on the tax restraint initiative, that was put in by you. That wasn't put in by us. The citizens of the state of Nevada, by over 70%, said, you know what? You guys can't be trusted with money. Therefore, we're going to limit your ability to raise taxes by a 2/3 vote. You can come to us for 50%, but as far as you legislators, you need to get a 2/3. And frankly, they've never had a real problem trying to find the 2/3. So the fact that they decided just to violate that and do it is a major issue. With that, I don't mean to be too doom and gloom. We were able to prevent a lot of really bad things. Some of the worst things in the legislature, what we do there is they come with scalpel blades. And our job is to figure out if we can dull that scalpel blade to a butter knife so it doesn't cut you, our constituents, if possible. Then when we do that, sometimes we have to vote yes. But sometimes we just have to vote no. There were 28 bills that went out partisan out of the state Senate. That's more than we've ever seen. Unfortunately, the governor didn't exactly care what we did. With that, I think we'll turn it back over to the moderator and figure out which way we go.
All right.